Drew Brees, congratulations, you are the GOAT. That is absolutely insane. Most passing touchdowns ever. Let's get into Kleschka picks. Welcome back, Kleschka Crew, to Kleschka Picks. Week 16, we're getting towards the end of the season and the end of Kleschka Picks for this year. It's been a fun year of football, and I gotta go pretty quick through this episode once again. I'm sorry. It's just that I got a lot of stuff around the holidays that are keeping me busy, and I'm going to Seattle for week 17, and that game could be for first place, and I'm super excited about it. So let's get started with this week. The Texans and the Buccaneers. The Texans, they won last week over the Titans, and the Buccaneers, they beat the Lions. The Texans are trying to fight for playoffs. The Buccaneers, not so much. And then the Texans, they got Deshaun Watson, who's a good young quarterback who is probably going to be solid for this franchise in the coming future. Tampa Bay, they got Jameis Winston, who throws many touchdowns but also turns the ball over just as much, so that weakens them. And I think Deshaun Watson, with the way he plays, not turning the ball over as much as the Buccaneers do, and his offense with DeAndre Hopkins and a solid running back Carlos Hyde, I think they will beat the Buccaneers 30-23. Bills and Patriots. The Patriots beat the Bengals last week. Their defense played solid as usual. It's been carrying them pretty much all season. And the Bills, they beat the Steelers. The Bills are looking very impressive. They got their 10th win, and if they get a win here against the Patriots, that could be huge for this team. Although it's going to be a tough task. Like I said, this defense has been strong all year, and I think it's going to continue to be strong. But this Bills defense is also pretty solid as well. It is also a strong defense with a good secondary. Both of these teams got good secondaries, and I really think it's going to come down to who's the better defense at the end of the day, which I think is going to be the Patriots. So I think the Patriots are going to beat the Bills 20-17. Rams and 49ers. The 49ers shockingly lost to the Falcons, which is huge for me because I'm a Seahawks fan, and we are the #1 seed now, and I couldn't be more excited about that. And if we went out and the 49ers went out, the game I go to in week 17 will be for first place. I know I mentioned that, but that game would be so epic if we win. It's going to be epic either way because it's just going to be for first place if that situation happens. 49ers, like I said, lost to the Falcons. Rams, they lost to the Cowboys. The Cowboys blew them out. The Rams I don't know what happened to them. They were in the Super Bowl last year. Not many pieces changed for them, and they have just been the total opposite of the team we saw last year. It's pretty much since Todd Gurley got his knee problems, and that has kind of messed them up. The 49ers, I think they just got upset. That's like what happened. The Falcons upset them, and they really can't say much about that. The 49ers have a good defense. Their offense is solid. They got weapons like George Kittle, Emmanuel Sanders, Moser, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So the team just, that was just a surprise. That was just a shock. I don't think that means the 49ers are in a decline. I think the 49ers will beat the Rams 31-16. Steelers and Jets. The Steelers, they lost to the Bills last week. I already mentioned that. And the Jets, they got blown out by the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, staying in his MVP form, played an easy Jets team, and he ran and destroyed that team. He was all over them, passing, rushing, any way you want to do it, he did it. The Steelers, they are on their third quarterback this season, Ben Roethlisberger. Then he had Mason Rudolph, now it's Hodges. So this is just a rough season for the Steelers. They had to deal with Antonio Brown. They've dealt with tons of injuries offensively throughout the season. And even though they've been fighting through all this, I still think they can beat the Jets. I think they will beat the Jets 24-20. Ravens and Browns. The Browns lost to the Cardinals last week. I just mentioned how the Ravens blew out the Jets. The Ravens are such a dominant offense with Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, and the Browns should be with Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, but they aren't. They just can't seem to figure it out. They should be beating teams like the Cardinals, but they're not for some reason. And Baltimore, I think, is going to walk all over the Browns. I think the Browns are going to struggle this week. I think Baltimore is going to beat Cleveland 33-10. Panthers and Colts. The Panthers lost to my Seahawks last week, and the Colts, they got obliterated by Drew Brees and the Saints. We'll talk about more Drew Brees when we get to the Saints, because I think that is the honor that should be talked about when we're talking about his team, not the team he beat. So, this week, the Panthers, they're starting rookie Will Grier, and it's just a season to forget for them too, because you had Cam Newton, who has been injured all season. Kyle Allen gave them some hope, and Christian McCaffrey, of course, who is definitely an MVP candidate. But now they're on their third quarterback, and it's looking like they're not having much hope for the rest of this season. The Colts, like I said, they got destroyed by Drew Brees last week. This week, however, I think they'll turn it around with this third-string quarterback starting for the Panthers. So I think the Colts will beat the Panthers 23-15. Bengals and Dolphins. The Bengals lost to the Patriots last week, and the Dolphins lost to the Giants. Both of these teams are having seasons to forget about. Both of these teams are pretty much the teams to pick on this year. The Bengals, it looked like they were going to go 0-16 for a while, but they did pick up a victory. The Dolphins, they showed hope towards these more recent weeks, but, you know, they're still a team that's going to get beat up on and get passed on easily. And so are the Bengals, so I think this is going to be a close game, but I think these teams are going to give up points. So I think the Dolphins will beat the Bengals 27-24. Jaguars and Falcons, like I said, the Falcons upset the 49ers. Came down to the last play of the game. Matt Ryan drops back, throws it to Julio Jones, who catches it, and he gets his back just over that line to count for the touchdown and win the game. And then you had the Jaguars, who spoiled it in Oakland. Their last game in Oakland, the Jaguars get the victory. I'm sure that's how Raiders fans did not want that to go. This week, I think the Falcons are going to continue to win. I think Matt Ryan, Julio Jones are going to step up again. Even though Calvin Ridley's out for the season, and that's a huge part of their receiving core, I think they got enough, and I think Jacksonville is going to be a team that they can get a win over and get more confidence like they should have had all season with all these weapons. I think the Falcons will beat the Jaguars 30-20. Giants and Redskins. The Giants, like I just said, they beat the Dolphins last week. Eli probably might have played his last game in MetLife. And the Redskins, they give the Eagles a fight, but then the Eagles turned it around late in the game, got a game-winning touchdown on them. Both these teams are defenses that can be picked on, so putting them against each other, I'm imagining is going to be high scoring. The Giants got a really shaky secondary. Same with the Redskins. It's just going to be lots of points, in my opinion. Even though these teams are not the most popular and they don't have the best offenses, I think we're just going to see tons of points because these defenses are so bad. So I think the Giants will beat the Redskins 31-27. Saints and Titans. The Titans lost to the Texans last week, and the Saints, they beat the Colts last week, and Drew Brees broke records. He set the record for the best completion percentage in a single game, going 29 for 30 with a 96.7% accuracy rating. That is ridiculous. He broke Phillip Rivers' record, previously held by Phillip Rivers. And then, well, actually, that was the stat at the end of the game, this whole completion thing. But he also set the record for most passing touchdowns all time, ever, by anybody. So Drew Brees, you're on top. You're the GOAT of passing touchdowns, which makes a lot of sense. Dude throws for yards and touchdowns. So this dude is going in the Hall of Fame. I think there's no question about it. Seriously, how could he not? This week, he's playing the Titans, and I think this is going to be an easy one. Even though the Titans, they've looked impressive this season, the Saints have looked undeniably way more impressive. So I think the Saints will beat the Titans 31-20. Raiders and Chargers, like I said, the Raiders, they had their last game in Oakland spoiled by the Jaguars. The Chargers, they could not keep up with the Vikings on their offense and defense. The Chargers have had it rough all season. They were absolutely blown out. This week, I think the Raiders are looking for revenge. I think they're mad that they did not win their last game in Oakland, especially Derek Carr and Gruden. I think they are just out to just beat up the next opponent on the schedule, and that just happens to be the Chargers. The Chargers have had it rough all season, and I think this is just going to be a win for the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to win 24-17. Lions and Broncos. Lions lost to the Buccaneers last week. The Broncos lost to the Chiefs in a snowy game. The Lions and the Broncos are lower on their depth chart for their quarterback right now, like many teams this season, which sucks because you just want to see the team's best quarterback out there for every team. You want to see the best competition. So it sucks to see that so many teams are going way down on their depth chart for quarterbacks. This week, though, I think the Broncos have seen like sparks of greatness from Drew Lock. Not greatness, but like they've seen hope. They've seen hope from Drew Lock, and the Lions have not really seen that from their backup quarterbacks. So I think with that said, I think the Broncos have a better chance of winning this game, and I think they will beat the Lions 20-13. Cardinals and Seahawks. The Cardinals won last week. Kenyon Drake went absolutely nuts with 4 touchdowns. And the Seahawks, my Seahawks, we got a win in Carolina, and thanks to that 49ers loss, we are the #1 seed in the NFC, baby, and I love saying that. I will say it all week. I will say it till the end of the year. It just feels great, and I cannot wait for that game in Seattle. I cannot wait to be cheering my head off and screaming with one of the loudest stadiums in football. And this week, I think this is going to be a walk in the park for us, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray has looked impressive, but Russell Wilson has been an MVP candidate all year, and I think that's going to continue against a team that is kind of, lower among all NFL teams. So I think the Seahawks will beat the Cardinals 35-17. Cowboys and Eagles, this is a huge game. These teams have the same record. They're in the same division. They're fighting for first place in their division, and this game could cost either one of these teams playoffs. Currently, the Cowboys have the spot, but if the Eagles get the win, then the Eagles would bump them. So, like I said, it's huge. It is a huge game. They are going to be fighting for their lives, fighting for their teams, fighting for their fans, and I think it's going to be high scoring. I think these offenses are going to go absolutely nuts against each other. The Cowboys, they lost to the Rams last week. Cowboys beat the Rams. They blew them out last week. And the Eagles came back against the Redskins. Carson Wentz threw a game-winning touchdown, and then the defense also got a touchdown after that. So this week, like I said, I think it's going to be high scoring, but I think Dallas is going to come out on the winning end, and I think they will beat the Eagles 33-30. Chiefs and Bears. The Bears last week, they lost to the Packers, but they almost got a touchdown to tie it up. They would have had to get a 2-point conversion. They were lateraling it like crazy for the last play, and they were this close to getting in the end zone. They just needed one more lateral, and they probably would have got it, but they didn't get it off, and the Packers secured the victory. And the Chiefs, they beat the Broncos last week in that snowy game. Patrick Mahomes had no problem with snow. Apparently he loves it. And he was throwing deep bombs to Tyreek Hill. Dude has no problem. Like, whatever weather you put him in, he's still an amazing quarterback. I think he's going to be an amazing quarterback this week. He's going to lead an offense like crazy and make them look good as hell, and I think he's just going to continue to dominate like the quarterback we all know who he is. So I think the Chiefs will beat the Bears 24-13. Packers and Vikings, this is also a huge game. The Vikings are trying to get that spot over the Packers. The Packers want to hold on to it. The Packers, they beat the Bears last week. Like I said, the Vikings dominated against the Chargers. This one's going to be fun to watch. The Vikings, they got a solid defense, and they got great weapons on offense with Kirk Cousins, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Rodgers, elite quarterback, and he's got good running backs in Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. With the status of Aaron Rodgers, even though he's been kind of shaky earlier in the season, I think he's stepping it up at the end of the season, and I think he will beat the Vikings 27-20. Well, everybody, if you made it to the end of this video, then I want you to comment if you think Drew Brees will be a Hall of Famer, and will he hold that passing touchdown record forever, or will somebody pass him? Will he retire and then Tom Brady keeps playing and Tom Brady passes him? Because Tom Brady's close. How long do you think Drew Brees will hold this record? If you, I almost said if you made it to the end of this video again, I just did that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are not already. Then tell your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your pets, your friends, everybody you know to hit it as well. And I will see you next time. I got this.